Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Christopher Lawrence, and today I'd like to tell you a story in a way that you may have never seen before, using this magical box. It came all the way from Japan, and it's called Kamishibai. Kami, meaning paper, Shibai, meaning theater. Today's story, The Little Rabbit Who Wanted Red Wings, is an African-American folk tale illustrated by Debbie and Larry Kline. The Little Rabbit Who Wanted Red Wings. Once upon a time, there was a little white rabbit with two beautiful long pink ears, and two bright red eyes, and four soft little feet. Such a pretty little white rabbit, but he wasn't happy. Just think, this little white rabbit wanted to be someone else instead of the nice little rabbit that he was. When Mr. Bushytail, the gray squirrel, went by, the little white rabbit would say to his mommy, "Oh, Mommy, I wish I had a long gray tail like Mr. Bushytail's." And when Mr. Porcupine went by, the little white rabbit would say, "Oh, Mommy, I wish I had a back full of bristles like Mr. Porcupine's." And when Miss Puddle Duck went by with her two little red rubbers, the little white rabbit would say, "Oh, Mommy, I wish I had a pair of red rubbers like Miss Puddle Duck's." So he went on, wishing until his mommy was clean tired out with his wishing, and old Mr. Groundhog heard him one day. Old Mr. Groundhog is very wise, so he said, "Why don't you go down to the wishing pond, and if you look in the water at yourself and turn around 3 times in a circle, you'll get your wish." So the little white rabbit trotted off, all alone by himself through the woods until he came to a little pool of green water, and that was the wishing pond. There was a little bird, all red, sitting on the edge of the wishing pond to get a drink. And as soon as the little rabbit saw him, he began to wish again. "Oh, I wish I had a pair of red wings," he said. Just then, he looked in the wishing pond, and he saw his little white face. He then turned around 3 times, and something happened. He began to have a queer feeling in his shoulders, like what he felt in his mouth when he was cutting his teeth. It was his wings coming through. So he sat all day in the woods by the wishing pond, waiting for them to grow. And by, when it was almost sundown, he started home to see his mom and show her, because he had a beautiful, long pair of red wings. But by the time he reached home, it was getting dark. And when he went in the hole in the front of the big tree where he lived, his mommy did not know him. No, she really, truly did not know him, because you see, she had never seen a rabbit with red wings in all her life. And so that little white rabbit had to go out again because his mommy wouldn't let him go into his room, into his own bed. He had to go out and look for some place to sleep all night. He went and went until he came to Mr. Bushytail's house. And he rapped on the door and said, "Please, Mr. Bushytail, may I sleep in your house all night?" But Mr. Bushytail opened his door a crack and then slammed it shut. You see, he had never in his life seen a rabbit with red wings. So the little white rabbit went and went until he came to Miss Puddle Duck's nest by the marsh, and he said, "Please, Mrs. Puddle Duck, may I sleep in your nest all night?" But Miss Puddle Duck poked her head up, out over her nest just a little, and then covered her whole nest with her wings. You see, she had never seen a white rabbit with red wings. So the little white rabbit went and went until he came to old Mr. Groundhog's hole. And old Mr. Groundhog let him sleep with him all night. But the hole had beech nuts spread all over it. Old Mr. Groundhog loved to sleep on them, but they hurt the little white rabbit's feet and made him very uncomfortable. When it came to morning, the little white rabbit decided to try his wings and fly a little. So he climbed up on a hill, spread his wings, and sailed out. But he landed in a low bush, all full of prickles. And his 4 feet got mixed up with the twigs, so he couldn't get down. "Mommy! Mommy! Mommy! Come and help me!" he cried. His mommy didn't hear him, but old Mr. Groundhog did. And he came and helped the little white rabbit get out of the prickly bush. "Don't you want your red wings?" Mr. Groundhog asked. "No, no," said the little white rabbit. "Well," said the groundhog, "why don't you go down to the wishing pond and wish them off again?" So the little white rabbit went down to the wishing pond. And when he saw his face in it, he turned around 3 times, and sure enough, the red wings were gone. Then he went home to see his mommy, who knew him right away and was glad to see him. And he never, never again wished to be something different than what he was.